Some people think they know who you are when they really don't. My head against the car window, I cross my legs and arms, folding the ache inside. Beside me, David holds his hands over his ears. Did David do something to upset you? Mom asks. Unbelievable. I look up in the rearview mirror. You were supposed to watch him. You promised. I could see him, she says. He wasn't doing any harm. He was opening doors. So what? He opened one door. Her eyes flashed to mine in the mirror. For goodness sake, Jason's family understands. Understands what? That we're as different as they are? Is that supposed to make it okay? Shh, Mom says, her eyes moving to David. I look at him, wishing he'd take his hands off his ears and say, It's going to be all right, Catherine, or don't worry, or I'll try harder next time, or even I'm sorry. But he only sits, rocking gently, a faraway smile on his face. Do you want me to call Mrs. Morehouse and apologize? Mom asks. It's too late. I turn to stare unfocused out the window, the side of the road becoming a sand-colored smear. Jason asked me to community dance. When I said no, he asked if I was embarrassed about him. Are you? She asks. No, well, the rest of the world isn't like the clinic. Other places, other people stare, or they hurry away, and I know what they're thinking. Oh, is that too bad, or what's wrong with that kid, or, ooh, I'm glad it's just not me. I get so sick of it. Just because other people think something like that doesn't make it true. Maybe there's some truth in that, but it's unsatisfying, bittering tasting truth. I glance at David. It doesn't make it any easier either. No, it doesn't make it easy. David stops rocking and gives me a fleeting look. I'm sorry, Frog. For once, Mom doesn't correct him. At home, Mom says she has to drop off paperwork at a few clients' houses. You can both come or you can babysit David. I'll babysit. I've had enough of David at other people's houses for one day. I dump a puzzle on the living room floor, glad for the simple right or wrong of a single perfect fit. Where's the sky, Frog? David asks beside me. I hunt for the sky blue and cloud white pieces, first the top left corner, then another straight edge piece of blue. I hold up a cloud. I think this is next. David shoots his hand out, grabs a piece from my fingers, and snaps it in place. Piece by piece, the sky appears, a put together line of blue and white. Reaching the top right corner, David hunts for a few of the second row of pieces, sharp pointed roofs and tops of trees. I leave him leaning over the puzzle, his hair falling forward as he picks up pieces and discards them one after one. In my room, and I open up my sketchbook to the page guilty, complicated, hidden, and weak. Out the window, Christy's driveway is empty, and I don't even care. I miss Melissa. I miss how she goes swimming at the pond with me and isn't afraid. I miss how we build mazes and guinea pig playgrounds on my floor for cinnamon and nutmeg. I miss being myself and with my friend and not having to try so hard. If she were home, I could tell Melissa everything about Jason and Christy, and she wouldn't laugh unless I did. Fix it? David stands behind me. I didn't even hear him come in. Next time, don't forget to knock. I hold out my hand and feel the cassette drop from my palm. But when I look, there are two long lines of tape hanging down, snapped. David folds my fingers around his cassette. You can fix it? No. He puts his hand over his ears. Don't worry, you can fix it. You don't get it. I can't fix it. I throw the cassette. It clangs, hitting the bottom of my trash can. Fix it, David screams. When someone is upset, it's not a good time to bring up your own problems, I scream back. Why don't you understand? No toys in the fish tank. Chew with your mouth closed. Don't open or close doors at other people's houses. David drops to the floor and wraps his arms over his knees. Trash goes in the garbage cans, he says, between sobs. That's the rule. He's crying so hard his whole body shakes. I get David's cassette from the trash, but it's too broken. I can't fix it. Tears fill my eyes. I walk over and kneel beside him, circling his knees and shoulders with my arms. I lay my chin on David's hair. I'm sorry, I whisper. I'm sorry, Toad. Each phone ring sounds like a long breath in my ear. One ring, breath. Please be home. Beside me, David leans against my arm. Two rings. Please listen. Three, please. Hello. Hi, this is Catherine. When Mrs. Morehouse doesn't say anything for a split second, I think about hanging up, but somehow I squeeze the words from the lump in my throat. Can I talk to Jason? She pauses. Just a minute. Waiting, my heart throbs. Please, please, please. Catherine, Mrs. Morehouse says. He doesn't want to come to the phone. Would you tell him something for me? Would you tell him I'm sorry and I'd like to invite him to the dance tonight? She sighs. I don't know. I'll be there in an hour. Please tell him I really want him to come. I give her the details, even though she won't even promise to tell him. Hanging up, I say to David, now we're calling Dad. The pharmacy worker who answers the phone tells me Dad's busy, but I say it's an emergency. Catherine, what's wrong? Dad asks. You need to come home, I say. But on the way, you need to stop by the mall and buy a cassette of Frog and Toad Together by Arnold Lobel. It's very important. Are you writing this down? Catherine, I have to. We matter too, I snap. You need to buy Frog and Toad Together by Arnold Lobel and a new cassette player and come home now. Of course you matter, just give me a few. I hang up. After changing into my favorite jean skirt and black tank top, I sit on the front porch with David, brushing my hair and watching the road. 23 cars later, Dad drives in the driveway. Come on, David, I take his hand. I'm going to a dance. Late doesn't mean not coming. I hear music. The double doors to the town community center are propped wide open. A rectangle of yellow light spreads on the sidewalk. David jumps into the box of light. He waves his finger in excitement, watching his shadow. Catherine, next time you need to plan better, Dad says. I can't leave work for something like this. I watch David jumping, his shadow hands, fluttering. You take David to the video store every time he has OT. That's different. Different because it's him? Dad huffs, turning me. David needs, I know what he needs, believe me. I push my way past Dad, not even caring that I'm yelling. Maybe he does need you more than me, but that doesn't mean I don't need anything at all. Go inside? David asks as I step on his shadow. Ask Dad, he's in charge. My throat is raw, looking ahead to the community center. I've never felt so alone. I hear footsteps coming up behind me. Kath? I have to matter too, I say. As much as work in your garden and even as much as David, I need you too. I feel his arm go around me, turning me to face his shoulder. You matter, Dad says, holding me. Even though strangers glance at us as they pass, I told him tight. Would you stay until I know if Jace is coming? Sure. My forehead presses into the hollow of Dad's shoulder. His shirt smells sickly sweet like cherry cough syrup from the pharmacy, but I don't care. And can I borrow some money? I spent all mine on Jason's present. Dad digs into his pocket with his free hand. Here's the extra so you can call me when you're ready to come home. I'll come home as soon as you call. Go inside? David asks. I nod. I'm ready. Inside the doors, a woman looks up from the admissions table. The poster I made is taped on the wall behind her. Welcome, she says, opening her cash box. Are you here for the dance? My daughter is. My son and I are only here until our friend comes. Dad pays for all of us, but David doesn't want his hand stamped. Watch, it doesn't hurt. I hold my hand out and the lady says, would you like a flower or a frog or a dragonfly? A frog, please. She presses the stamp into the back of my hand and I show David. Look, it's a frog. David holds his hand out to me. I turn it over so she can stamp it. Something smells good, Dad says. We have a bake sale going on and there's popcorn and soda. The woman points down the hall towards the tables piled with brownies and cookies. Everything is 50 cents or $1, but you can't bring food or drinks into the gym. It's the rule, David says. There's a scatter of flyers on the bulletin board, and the doorway to the gym is surrounded with colored streamers and twinkly white Christmas lights. Dad stops to talk to someone at a long table selling t-shirts with the community center logo on them, and I hear snips of his conversation. Lots of kids, lovely night, the pharmacy is good. Beside me, David steps close to the lights, his fingers flickering at his sides, fast as moth wings. The lights are beautiful, aren't they, I say, like hundreds of stars. Like stars, David says. Make a wish, Frog. I close my eyes and reach in my skirt pocket, fingering the money Dad gave me. From inside the gym, a song starts, a fast, wonderful, bursting with life song. When I open my eyes, David is staring at me inches from my face. Most people say if you tell a wish, it won't come true, but I don't think wishes work like that. I don't believe there is some bad-tempered wish fairy with a clipboard checking off whether or not you've told. Oops, you told your wish, no new bike for you. But it's a long shot I get my wish, so even if there is a fairy in charge of telling, it won't matter. I wish everyone had the same chances, I say, because it stinks a big one that they don't. What about you? What did you wish for? Grape soda. I can't help smiling. You wished for grape soda? He doesn't answer, and I pull my hand from my pocket. Taking one of his fluttering hands, I wrap his fingers tightly around $1. Wish granted, Toad. He takes off running, and Dad runs after him. I close my eyes and make a new wish. I wish the refreshment stand has grape soda. A real conversation takes two people. Alone on the bleachers, I run my hands over my knees to wipe the sweat away. In the half-lit gym, the white stripes on the floor and the basketball backboard almost glow. My fingers long for a fat paintbrush to stroke the color across the whiteboards, blood red, electric blue, tangerine, blistering colors. But I have nothing to hold on and nothing to do but wait. I've checked all along the sides of the gym, across the dance floor, out in the hallway, and even past the little offices holding sports equipment. The lit clock above the exit sign barely moves, and I make deals with myself. He'll come when the minute hand is on the floor. The music blares. I can't hear my feet tap. But someone must have spilled a drink because my sandals catch on something sticky. Worry twins in my chest, and I keep unsticking my feet in case I need to run out to find Dad and tell him I want to go home now. I last saw him and David drinking grape sodas on the stairs. Jason will come when the minute hand's on the 6. Watching kids dancing, I flicker my fingers on my knees. Some of the dancers look goofy. One boy reminds me of David, his elbows bent sharply. But there are many other kids, it doesn't matter. The other dancers make room for him. I see the kids from my school I recognize, but no Christy or Ryan. My fingers trace a cut in the wood of the bleacher beside me over and over. I slide my fingers along the groove, feeling every bump. Jason will come when the minute hand's on the 11. It's hot inside the gym from all the kids, and I wish I could get a drink or step outside and breathe some cooler air, but I'm afraid I'll miss Jason. So I lean back and rest on my elbows on the bleacher behind me and look at the ceiling. I imagine the beams gone, the roof pulled away, only the endless night sky above me full of stars. The song ends and kids fill the bleachers around me. Some kids turn back to the dance floors, another song begins. It hurts how life goes on unknowing. All these kids walking by, heading to the dance floor or toward the hallway, not even seeing me. I watch a girl move toward the door. In a bright light from the hallway, she darkens to a shadow, passing the outline of a wheelchair in the doorway. Sorry, excuse me. I step around knees and feet, trying not to push, but wanting to shove past everyone. I have to get over there. As I come closer, Jason looks at me, his eyes narrowing. Mrs. Morehouse stands at his side. I'm glad you're here, I say. I really wanted to talk to you. I'll be in the hall where it's quieter, Mrs. Morehouse says. Come get me if you need me. Excuse me, I call over and over to kids' backs, making room for us to move down the quiet hallway outside the community center offices. Through the windows, I see the dark outline of great clusters of basketballs stacked of pointed traffic cones and a rack of hockey sticks. Standing next to Jason, I don't know what to say, and I get it started. It's a nice night out. Jason turns to his wheelchair to leave. Wait! I reach into my skirt pocket and pull out the first word. Complicated. Jason lifts his eyebrows. I kneel to be at his eye level. I see how kids stare at David and it hurts me because I know what they're thinking. Or even worse, they don't look at him, just around him like he's invisible. It makes me mad because it's mean and it makes me invisible too. Jason watches my face, but his hand moves to give me room to reach the last empty pockets of his communication books. Hidden. I didn't tell Christy everything about you. I didn't tell her about your wheelchair or your communication book. I didn't know how she'd react. I should have because you're my friend, but it got harder and harder. I dropped my gaze to the tiled floor. No, that's an excuse too. The real truth is I was scared of what she might think of me, not you. When I look up, Jason is staring toward the dark windows of the community center offices. You're a good friend, I say, and I've been weak. Catherine? I knew this moment was coming, but I still feel caught red-handed. Christy hurries up the hall, wearing white jeans and a bright pink shirt. I thought you couldn't come. I'm so happy you changed your mind. Beside her, Ryan puts his hand on her arm. I stand up. Jason, this is Ryan and my next-door neighbor, Christy. Her smile slips. Hi. Christy, this is Jason. She glances from Ryan to me to Jason. Happy birthday? Thank you. Christy looks at me, one eyebrow raised. Jason can't talk, so he uses these cards, and I've been making words for him. I smile at Jason. He's my very good, I tap, friend. She looks where I'm pointing to, the card of a girl's hand waving. Jason taps. Catherine talk about you all the time. Really? Christy makes a sound. She could have told me more about you. Ryan pulls Christy's arm. Come on, Chris. I'm sorry, I say. I should have told you the truth. Yeah, she says flatly, not looking at me. You should have. I'll see you around. As they walk away, I open my hand to show Jason my last card. I have one more. He shakes his head. Don't want it. I fold guilty until it's so small I won't fold again. Jason starts his wheelchair down the hall. Wait, I say, rushing to catch up. Where are you going? Dance? Do you want to come? But I don't. Break rule. Dance. Jason tips his head down, looking under his eyebrows at me like he's expecting me to blast off on a wild, chatty detour. And a detour sits on my tongue like an airplane waiting on the runway. All systems go. Cleared for takeoff. All right. I follow him down the hallway and out across the gym floor to the very center where there's a clearing in the kids. Next to me, a girl lifts her arms above her head. One by one, other dancers join her, palms reaching upward, swaying back and forth. Jason joins them, palms open. Standing there in the middle of the floor, in front of everyone, I lift my hands and reach for the ceiling, the sky, the stars, and I dance. If you need to borrow words, Arnold Lobel wrote some good ones. Before I climb into bed, I circle the date on my calendar when Melissa will be home. I have so much to tell her, not the least of which is I danced with a boy who isn't even related to me and I liked it. And on Tuesday, I'm not bringing my backpack to the clinic, only me. If Jason needs a word, I'll make it, but I'll wait for him to ask. I lift my shade and imagine a beam flashing from Christy's dark window, counting dashes and dots. Are you there? But there is no light. Her window stays dark, only the street lamps, the stars shine, white brightness. The tiniest knock comes, and my door creaks open. David stands framed in the light from the living room. No toys in the fish tank. I slide my slippers on and follow. In the aquarium, a toy wizard stands on the gravel, his hand raised mid-spell. Standing beside the castle, he's only so big his pointy shoe would fit through the tiny castle door. Oops, wrong spell. And instead of fierce dragon to slay, a huge, curious goldfish mouths the end of the wizard's hat. I can't help but laugh. What are you laughing at, Frog? David asks, worried lines cutting his forehead. I touch the tiny frog stamp on his hand and show him mine. I'm laughing at you, Toad, said Frog, because you do look funny in your bathing suit. David smiles. Of course I do, said Toad. Then he picked up his clothes and went home. The end. Tomorrow I'm going to tell Mom she has a point about David needing his own words. But other things matter too, like sharing something small and special, just my brother and me. Kneeling beside David, our arms touching, our faces reflect side by side in the glass. I let that be enough.